A week before those messages reach King's Landing, we find ourselves in the Iron Islands, territory controlled by House Greyjoy and its bannermen. Focusing on Pike, the stronghold of House Greyjoy, where Asha Greyjoy assumes command of the Ironborn after the death of Euron Greyjoy at the hands of the Kingslayer, Jaime Lannister. 2 years have passed since the death of Asha's brother, Theon Greyjoy. Yet the Lady of the Iron Islands remembers her brother and the bravery he showed when facing the Night King all alone, armed only with a spear. To honor his memory, his sister held a funeral following her people's traditions, where Theon's body was engulfed by the fierce Sunset Sea. Thus, the last male son of Balon Greyjoy, who remained alive, succumbed to the most powerful of the dead. For this reason, the name of Theon Greyjoy will be remembered by krakens and wolves for all eternity. After the war, the Greyjoy fleet had suffered too much damage, reducing it drastically. Therefore, the new Lady of the Iron Islands chose the path of loyalty to the crown, and began rebuilding the fleet. On the other hand, many houses of the Iron Islands did not look favorably upon Asha's rule, as leadership in war and governance had always been entrusted to men. For this reason, many houses did not fully demonstrate loyalty to their lady. But only one house was completely against their sovereign and declared independence unilaterally, forcing Asha Greyjoy to summon her troops and sail with the weak fleet she had left to suppress the rebellion. The rebellion house was the Farwines, who controlled the island of Lonely Light, the westernmost island of both Westeros and the Iron Islands. It was a small stronghold, whose great defense was the Sunset Sea. Resolute, Asha prepared her men and immediately set sail for Lonely Light. The waters were favorable, and the Greyjoy fleet reached the island after a few days. But what the Lady of the Iron Islands did not expect was that the fierce warriors of House Farwine had spotted the Greyjoy fleet and prepared a fierce defense to repel the attack. However, the balance was in Asha Greyjoy's favor, as her forces vastly outnumbered the few warriors House Farwine could muster. After hours, the Greyjoy ships docked on the island, but suddenly a small rain of flaming arrows caused several casualties among the loyalist ranks, and that ambush put Asha Greyjoy in serious trouble. While the men of the Iron Islands continued to disembark, the arrows kept falling. Most of these men carried shields to protect themselves, but many did not, and they succumbed to the volleys. When all the loyalists had disembarked, flaming bales of hay rolled down the beach toward the ships and men of the Greyjoys. When the hay hit its targets, many more perished, burned alive. To top it off, amid the screams of those dying in flames, war cries echoed closer and closer. Suddenly, the forces of House Farwine appeared, charging fiercely at Asha Greyjoy's loyalists. In that moment, the Lady of the Iron Islands did not falter and ordered her warriors to countercharge alongside her. That countercharge was brutal and marked the start of the battle. After suffering so many losses, the balance seemed to tip in favor of the rebels. But Balon Greyjoy's last daughter unleashed the true fury of the Kraken within her, and with her axes and ferocity, she turned the tide of the ambush. Moreover, the morale of the Greyjoy troops remained intact as they fought, side by side with their lady. Over time, the rebels' numbers dwindled, as their forces numbered fewer than 300 warriors. Because of this, the Greyjoys annihilated the rebel troops. After that slaughter, they marched towards House Farwine's settlement, where its lord awaited them. Asher Greyjoy's forces entered without any resistance and sacked the small castle. The Lord of House Farwine was captured, and by order of the Lady of the Iron Islands was to be executed, though this time had not yet come. He would have to wait a few more days, as his execution would take place before all the lords of the Iron Islands, so they would understand to whom their loyalty was owed. After several hours, Asher Greyjoy left some of her most loyal men in charge of subduing the people of Lonely Light. Afterward, they boarded their ships and set sail for Pike. On the first day of the navigation, the sea seemed calm, but dark clouds approached from the west. Suddenly and unexpectedly, a storm struck the Greyjoy fleet. These men were used to the sea and held firm against the adversity, but that was not their only problem. Suddenly, a loud roar left everyone stunned, and in seconds, one of the ships split in two. The screams of those succumbing to the monstrosity that attacked them were drowned out by the strong winds of the storm. One by one, the ships were destroyed by an unseen force. With only 2 ships remaining, the vessel sailing to the right of the Lady of the Iron Islands ship suddenly sped up, eventually overtaking them and stopping in front of Asher's ship, blocking its path. At that moment, a scaly creature broke through the water, lifting the other ship several meters into the air. Asher stood in disbelief, as the captured Lord Farwine laughed maniacally, declaring, "Behold your divine punishment! The sea has chosen its queen!" Asher silenced him with a swift stroke of her axe, severing his head. After that, the sea dragon began attacking her ship until it was completely destroyed. As Asher fell into the sea, she glimpsed the full magnitude of the beast before its massive jaws consumed her. Two days later, with no sign of Asher Greyjoy's return, ravens were sent to Lonely Light, but they only brought bad news. Asher Greyjoy's death caused great upheaval, and all the lords of the most important houses of the Iron Islands gathered outside Pike to choose a new lord. With the fall of House Greyjoy, everyone wanted a piece of the lands left orphaned. Some sought to replace Asher Greyjoy as the new lords of the Iron Islands. Then, the unexpected happened. Suddenly, a banner bearing the Golden Kraken approached. Everyone thought the Lady of the Iron Islands had returned, but to their surprise, it was Victarion Greyjoy, brother of Balon Greyjoy and rightful heir to the lands. Everyone believed Victarion had died on one of his voyages, but it seemed they were mistaken. Thus the Iron Captain, as he was called, became the new Lord of the Iron Islands without opposition. After sending that message to King's Landing, Victarion Greyjoy boarded his ship and set course for the capital of Westeros. Upon receiving the message bearing the seal of the Golden Kraken, Brandon Stark ordered his men and his new gold clothes to sound the alarm immediately if they spotted any banners or ships from the Iron Islands, and to deny them entry to the capital. On a sunny, calm day, the sound of a ship arriving shattered the tranquility. Two guards approached His Majesty to report that a ship had landed on the coast and that Victarion Greyjoy was at the gates of the capital with 60 armed men, requesting entry to speak with the King of the Six Kingdoms. Brandon allowed him entry under the condition that he come unarmed and alone, and Victarion complied. Inside the newly restored Red Keep, Brandon Stark sat on a simple wooden throne. Victarion approached, recounting Ash's fate and the current state of the Iron Islands. The king, already aware of the events, listened in silence before demanding that Victarion kneel. To everyone's surprise, Victarion Greyjoy knelt and pledged his loyalty, declaring that the Iron Islands would remain faithful to the crown of the crippled king.